Audible is audio entertainment that entertains, educates, and inspires. For you, the listeners of the CreepGeeks Podcast, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a 30-day free trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. To download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/cheapgeek. Again, that's audibletrial.com/cheapgeek for your free audiobook. Enjoy this with your free trial. 30 days of membership free, plus 2 free audiobooks that are yours forever. 1 credit a month after trial, good for any book regardless of price. Exclusive member savings. Get 30% off additional audiobooks. Easy exchanges. Don't love a book? Swap it for free. Anytime, seriously. Again, that's audibletrial.com/cheapgeek for your free audiobook today. So it begins again. Welcome to the CreepGeeks Podcast, Season 5, Episode 217.
In this episode, Cicada update, Demi Lovato UFO investigator, and celebrity believers.
Yeah. All right, so welcome to the CreepGeeks Podcast. If this is your very first time tuning in to the podcast, we're glad to have you here. And if you tune in all the time, it's good to see you.
Yeah.
Okay, so this podcast is about all sorts of stuff. It's stuff that we find to be interesting and creepy on the internet, and so we like to share that with you.
Yes.
So that's why we call it the CreepGeeks Podcast. We do paranormal and weird news. We do investigation stuff. We do all sorts of things like that. And we have taken our interest and turned it into something that's hopefully worth your time. I'm just saying, some people have different interests in that sort of thing, and it becomes one of those things where it's just sort of an exercise. You find stuff that you think is interesting, you put it out there, and you hope other people do too.
Yeah.
But I will say that over the past year or so, there has been a pretty substantial increase in the field, research or just general, just paying attention to of UFOs.
Ufology.
Yeah.
Just a general increase in interest and awareness.
Yes, indeed. So we thought we'd kind of add some things into the mix, and this is something that's going to be a little bit fun and a little bit, maybe a little out there, but it's okay. So anyway, this particular podcast has a phone number that you can call.
That phone number is 575-208-4025.
If you would like to leave a message or an idea or a comment or something like that, we're certainly open to it. It's a voicemail, so when you call, leave a voicemail.
Yes.
Very nice. And if you have something you'd like us to share on the podcast, and you want to hear your voice played over the, I was going to say over the airwaves, but over the,
digital waves.
Digital waves.
Yes.
Let us know. Because if you don't, we're going to play it. I'm just saying. So, yeah. So, okay. So we do lots of news and stuff like that, and we kind of talk about different things. We investigate, and we do all that sort of good stuff. And one of the things that we come up with over time is we decided we need to add some terms.
Yes.
And these terms are so that you can have a better understanding of what we're actually talking about.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about all things Fortean or Fortean or Forteana, whatever you want to call it. But basically, it's just an all-encompassing term to describe the phenomenon of the weird, the high strangeness, all of that sort of thing. And that's kind of what we do here. So we come up with different terms. And by we, I mean Omi.
Okay.
And I'm Greg. And this is the CreepGeeks Podcast. Right?
Yeah.
So I should say, though, these terms and definitions, since this whole thing and everything we talk about is all subject to speculation, really. It's hard to prove any of this sort of thing. They're not from like Webster's, they're not like. I mean, some are.
Yeah. And some are from Wikipedia and some are from Encyclopedia.
I guess I should say that, the people that, these are cultivated from people.
Yes.
And their sources can be sketchy, right?
These are terms that are abstract in nature, and we in no way endorse the veracity or 100% accuracy of these terms.
Well, I wasn't going to go that far and kind of like puss out on the whole thing. And, I'm just saying that, what's some of the term that the youngsters would use these days is sus.
Sus.
Some of this stuff is sus. And if you don't know because you're old, Sus is short for suspect.
Suspicious.
Or suspicious, yeah, isn't suspicious part. So anyway, this Fortean term of the day is...
reptilian. I decided to take a step back and go over some more basic terms. And if you don't know what a reptilian is, you've probably seen it on sci-fi shows or things like X-Files. Allegedly, a reptilian is a tall, scaly humanoid. Reptilian humanoid beings date back at least as far as ancient Egypt with the crocodile-headed river god Sobek. Now, there's also a reptilian conspiracy theory that has been advocated by researchers like David Icke. Those reptilians are attributed to an extraterrestrial nature. Somehow these reptilian humanoids, meaning they have the body or physique of a humanoid being, but then they're covered in scales. They may have a different type of brain. Their powers or abilities are different than humans. And from that stems like a whole genre of sci-fi and horror movies and even conspiracy theories. So
yes.
These reptilians, they could have been here since the beginning of mankind. They could have recently come here from another planet, or they've been here even before humans, and they were some sort of shape-shifting creature that helped shape and control Earth.
That's what they say.
Yeah.
There was also a theory a long time ago that they were part of a battle that occurred when they drugged the moon here. Not when the reptilians drugged the moon here, but the battle between two brothers, and one of them actually drugged the moon into orbit of Earth.
Ah.
And yeah, some craziness, but...
Now, we've provided links so that you can better understand the term reptilian or reptilian humanoid. What I wanted to add for folks who have heard the term used on videos or in the paranormal community, I added a list because apparently Wikipedia has a list of alleged extraterrestrial beings, and in there is a sub-list of different types of reptilians and reptilioids. Yes. That includes ancient astronauts, like you were saying, ancient aliens or ancient astronauts in culture, like the TV show Ancient Aliens, something called the Draconians, which kind of leads into like the Illuminati, right?
Yeah, but I think that in that part of the alien race,
yeah,
you have like the bird people,
and then like going along with the reptilian theory from David Icke, you have the Orion reptilian humanoid matriarchy. Yeah. You have the lizard man or the scape or swamp serpent creature, serpent men in general, Silurians, which I believe is a type of like extraterrestrial, the Sleestack, which I think was like a TV show, Narn, and then just fictionalized portrayals in popular sci-fi culture.
Yeah, like this. There was a miniseries called V.
Yeah,
they were visitors, and they were a lizard-like alien race who disguised themselves as humans.
Yeah,
and all they wanted was our water, when really they wanted to eat us. Yeah.
But
that was a good show, man. Yeah. That sort of that was back in the day. Of course, now you watch it, and I don't know, but it's not that good. But back then, it was like, what? This is the best thing ever.
Yeah, but it was interesting to see that even Wikipedia had a list with a sub list to try to educate or enlighten people on the fact that there's even different types of reptilians out there.
Absolutely,
Yeah. So I'm not sure if we'll ever do a full episode on reptilians.
I mean, okay, so...
but it's pretty...
It's a rabbit hole you can go down for sure. It is pretty involved, and there's different subsets. Just like Sasquatch is like, there's multiple different versions and variants and different ideas about Sasquatch in general, like family groups and different types all over the world. So it gets pretty involved. And then, locally or close to us, I should say, on the East Coast, they had the lizard man sighting.
Yeah.
In Bishopville, South Carolina, but yeah, it's a thing. It's pretty involved. So.
And the other reason I added it is because I haven't seen it talked about much in the past year or so.
Yeah, because aside from watching like videos, you see like watch this newscaster's eyes, and they blink sideways like, what, reptilian? You know, I mean, you don't really hear about them a whole lot. Theory is that the reptilians have been, live amongst us and have for a long, long time. And they actually control everything. And, there's so many different theories. There's also the theory that the Earth in general is just basically we're a bunch of rejects.
Oh.
And we've been put here to be studied, and the reptilians are here too, and whoever controls Earth I don't know. It goes on, but not with this podcast. So, I mean, we will eventually talk about it, but it's like, where do you even start?
I know, because
and by the time you get done, you've made an episode or a podcast episode that's about slightly less interesting than just watching ancient aliens talk about, ancient aliens investigators say yes or whatever.
Because even just going into this David Icke theory,
it's deep, man.
It's deep, and I'm just like, I can't grasp that many straws in a 1 hour.
Well,
podcast.
It's a thing, okay? Because we like to talk about stuff that we find to be interesting. I'm not going to research reptilians for my whole life.
No,
I'm not going to research Bigfoot my whole life. I'm not going to research UFOs my whole life. I'm not going to do all that because it's just, I don't want to be pigeonholed in any one of those categories, and I get bored easily. But I find it all to be interesting, and that's why we talk about what we talk about. We take a lighthearted approach to all this sort of thing because there are some people out there that are in it, man. This is their thing. And those people are great. You go. I'm just not you know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm into it, and we like it, and we know some things. But I just can't devote my whole life to just one particular thing like that, as far as research and stuff. Now, everything is subject to change, but, if you see reptilians, let us know. Anyway, just thought I'd kind of pass that along there. Yeah. Okay, so the last episode we actually talked about cicadas and how they're going to come around and show up with their beady red eyeballs, and it's the first time in 17 years or whatever where they come blowing out of the ground. It could be millions of them and all this crazy stuff, and we talked about the fact that, hey, I think I hear them all the time, so I'm not sure where this is coming from, the 17-year cycle thing. Well, we had somebody call us and use that number that we have there for you to call, the 575-208-4025 number. And they left us a nice little message.
Yes.
And so we're going to play that little message so that you can hear what she says, because evidently she is way more knowledgeable about cicadas than we are, and she figured she would call us up and let us know. So we're going to play that for you right now. Here we go.
Hi, Greg and Omi. My name is Jamie. I'm calling from Oak Park, Illinois. I was just listening to the recent episode in which you guys were discussing cicadas, or cicadas, I think is they're most commonly known, and I just had to call and be a total insufferable dweeb and tell you guys that the reason you feel like you're seeing them every year, but then you're reading about these 17-year cicadas is there are periodic cicadas, and then there are the annual ones. So we just got our brood of periodic 17-year ones, I think, last summer. And then every summer we get the regular ones, which are usually the result of 2 summers prior. It's really confusing, but it's just periodic versus annual. I used to be kind of terrified of them myself only, so I totally understand. Now I love them, but I completely get it if you are still terrified by them, but they're totally harmless. Another way you can usually distinguish the periodic from the annual, at least up here in Illinois, the 17-year ones have red eyes, which is, really horrifying, and the regular garden variety every year ones are, they typically have black or brown eyes. So, yeah, sorry to be a total dweeb about it. I'm not an entomologist. I just, I've become very familiar with these guys after living in Illinois for 16 years. I'm from Florida, and we didn't have these down in Florida, so it's been educational. Anyway, I love the show. Good luck with the cicadas. Bye.
That was very nice.
Thank you.
Yes.
Because and it's funny because Greg will say things like, if you get close enough to a snake, you're too close to determine if it's venomous or not venomous. And I'm that way with the cicadas. I'm not going to look them in the eye. Yeah. I don't care if it's red or black.
I always say whatever it is can jump 6 feet.
Yeah. And
that's just like a loose rule of thumb with me.
But that does explain So I guess you have like the semi-annual, and then you have the 17 and 13-year ones. I didn't realize that.
Well, me either. So I'm glad she called, but I was thinking,
because
I never paid attention to their eyeballs. The fact that they have these beady red eyeballs is like kind of off-putting.
And it's funny because when she was talking about that, like the pattern of life, I instantly remember back to the first time I actually read about cicadas. And it was like Stephen King's It.
Yeah.
Because he had a cycle as well. And I'm sorry, they freak me out.
Yeah. Somebody right now is like, it's cicadas. Not cicadas. Whatever, man. They're creepy bugs. They make lots of noise and they leave their exoskeletons on trees and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that bothers me too. Because, like, that's just
they bust out of their skins.
Yeah.
Fly around with no mouth but making noise. Yeah, I don't know.
That is a monster right there.
I remember being a youngster riding around. Every once in a while, you just get blasted with one of these things. They're always scary. So,
oh gosh,
just because you're not used to getting hit with a
and that's interesting.
Rock-sized bug.
Florida doesn't really have them.
I think probably because stuff eats them there.
Oh.
Or maybe it's too wet. I don't know. Florida's got enough weird stuff going on with all the animals they got.
Florida is the United States is Australia.
No, New Mexico is United States is Australia.
That's true.
Florida is its own Congo jungle type situation with giant lizards and other dinosaur type stuff. And
large pythons, invasive species.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And old people. Yep. Okay, so during the pandemic, and this seems like obvious news, right? UFO reports surged during the pandemic. And what they say is, and this is an article from the New York Times, so it must be legit. It says, with skies lacking light pollution and most nights free, New Yorkers reported nearly twice as many mysterious sightings last year. I would like to translate that into, with not a whole lot going on, can't go anywhere, can't do anything, you're going to see more stuff.
People
just in general, I don't think there's necessarily been an increase, of actual UFO activity. I think it's just that more people have noticed it.
So,
and it's been put out in the news more, so now it's more.
Yeah.
But I mean, a lot of people were trying to find stuff to do during the lockdown, the quarantine, and some people were like, "Hey, let's break out the telescope that we got from Uncle what's his name," and just people been bored.
And isn't it funny that okay, in 2019 we actually said this on the podcast a couple times, and we saw it on one or two of our favorite documentaries. People don't look to the skies anymore, and now 2020 happened, the lockdown happened.
Got nothing else to do.
Let's look to the skies.
Yeah.
And
plus, so there's been a lot of weird correlation and stuff going on. You've got like Starlink launching satellites. You've got people looking to the skies. People are seeing more stuff. There's more shows on television.
Yeah.
I don't know. So, but according to ufologists, and I like how they put the little thing in here, it says pronounce UF, like YOOF-ologists, right? As those who study the phenomena call themselves, I don't really know anyway.
I don't call myself a ufologist.
Yeah. You a ufologist? What? I don't study children, so right? I don't know. They say that the trend is not necessarily the result of an alien invasion, but rather it was likely caused by, in part, another invader, coronavirus. So yeah, I mean, it makes sense.
Okay.
You're locked down, stuff's not happening, and we heard for a while how wonderful lockdown was with, animals coming back and going to places they haven't gone and pollution clearing up and all that sort of thing. And, yeah.
You know what I don't see so far in this article?
What?
Did abduction experiences go up?
You're not going to talk about that on New York Times.
So
not this. This is one of those fluff articles that says people are looking up more.
Yeah.
Seeing more, and things like TikTok and other places like that show videos are showing more things that people are capturing and they're putting them on up there, and it's just become more interesting. And as a whole, I think UFO stuff, like I said, it was in the news a lot more with, military and government release sort of, disclosure thing that was supposed to happen. I don't know if it's happened yet or whatever. And just overall in general, you're going to see more. I forgot what I was going to say because I was just thinking back to trying to think of all the UFO shows I watched, Because I had my own lockdown.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, broke my neck, got out of the hospital. Like, they ejected me from the hospital because they're like, if you don't leave, you will be locked down with us for 2 more weeks.
Yeah.
And they put my stuff on, like, in a trash cart. We're rolling it outside. And I'm like, let's go. You know?
Yeah.
I'm glad, too. I'm glad, I couldn't even imagine because that lockdown, quarantine, that could have gone on for a long time. But anyway.
Yeah, but
I mean, everything from the UFO sightings, the government acknowledgement that there are weird things up there, unidentified aerial phenomenon, the fact that the Space Force was created, all the shows on TV, less light pollution as a whole, I guess, because of whatever, just pollution in general, and the fact that people are stationary in one place with not a whole lot to do but look up. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to have a surge in reports. And Starlink.
Yeah.
Launching, we had Starlink launch satellites last month. And they're flying over like the southeast because the more launches they do, the closer they come down with the latitude and longitude and get to the 37th parallel or so, and they're probably even lower than that now. People are seeing them, Mm-hmm. It even made the news, like in North Carolina, you could see the Starlinks. So, in a string, like a line of like, and remember that guy in New Mexico?
Yeah.
Seen all these UFOs, and they're like, that's probably Starlink, and he was like, I don't think so. Just like, no.
But okay, so
I'll be the judge of that. It's like the picture he showed was Starlink satellites all lined up.
The one thing that bothers me though is like a lot of these Starlink photos remind me of the Phoenix Lights in a way, except the Phoenix Lights were at a much lower altitude.
Yeah,
but it makes me wonder.
I still think the Phoenix Lights were just drones.
Well, when did they happen?
I don't know. You'd have to ask Kurt Russell because he was the person that called it in. He was the pilot.
Oh, yeah.
Who reported it. 80s, 90s? No, I was in San Diego, so it was...
97.
Yeah, I was...
97.
What I was going to say is I was in San Diego the second time.
Yeah. So that means... Okay, so 1997.
Don't do math.
I know, right? Did we have any satellite launches in the 1990s?
We've had satellite launches continuously.
Okay.
And the thing about, that's just it though. I mean, you wouldn't necessarily know if it's a secret thing to launch satellites. And if you do think that we actually have a secret Space Force, right?
Yeah.
Which is probably not secret now because we created a Space Force. But if you do think that we had some sort of secret, government type Space Force type, it would not be out of the realm of plausibility for them to have launched a ton of space stuff, like satellites.
Yeah.
And other stuff. Who knows? What? Out of nowhere, we have a tablet that just decided to start talking to us. Thanks. I think we're being probably listened to by the government right now.
Because we said reptilian too many times?
No, we talked about secret government Space Force and stuff like that. And all of a sudden an Amazon tablet says, I'm having trouble connecting to the internet.
I'm having trouble tattling on you.
Yeah, it's like, I bet you are because, your internet capability has been disabled. And the fun thing is that I thought for sure that the battery was dead on that thing. Evidently it is not.
Yeah, but didn't she do it the other week too? Yeah.
I don't know.
I think she did. So
whatever, man. We know it's listening. Okay, so eavesdropping aside, though, I mean, who knows? But the idea that this is becoming more and more mainstream and more popular and more sort of commonplace is good, I guess. I mean, I don't know.
I want it to be more commonplace.
But I'm firmly in the drone camp for 80% of the sightings that are out there that people actually report.
Yeah.
The ones that seem to be more common, I guess, more common type reports. Yeah. I think they're drones. I really do, because our drone technology, I mean, come on, we were using them in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. It's got, if you ascribe to the belief that the government has some of the most advanced technology on the planet, I couldn't even imagine where we are now with drone technology.
Yeah.
Because it seems like when it becomes a commercially viable thing, the government has already long done it. Like you can buy drones now that have flight avoidance and all sorts of crazy stuff. And I mean, can you imagine being a kid and getting like, a DJI drone? Are you freaking kidding me? That thing's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm talking like an old one. They're crazy now, but I think a lot of it's just military stuff, but I don't know. But yeah, I'm not surprised at all. This goes in the category of duh. More people have been sightings have surged during the pandemic. Duh.
Yeah.
So, and speaking of duh, this is something that sort of segued into our next topic. Our next topic is basically we're going to talk about celebrities.
Okay.
Now, there are celebrities out there that believe in this kind of thing. Some people put it out there publicly, some people don't. And when I was going through taking a look and talking about UFOs and looking at UFOs and just reading the general statement of UFO reports that have surged during the pandemic, I came across Demi Lovato is going to have a 4-part series where her and her sister Dallas and Skeptic, this guy, I guess his name is Michael Scott Montgomery, investigate UFO stuff.
Okay.
Now, I don't really know who Demi Lovato is because it's, not in my wheelhouse. I don't really listen to that kind of music, but evidently she's a big deal or one of the bigger deals out there as far as pop stars.
Yeah.
But she's making a docu-series.
Okay.
Where she's going to investigate the phenomena, and she hopes to ultimately find a way to make contact with extraterrestrials. Ancient aliens say that's, right?
Yeah.
So, evidently last October, she made headlines when she posted footage on social media of what she asserted was a UFO that she witnessed during an expedition to Joshua Tree.
Oh.
Yeah, and so now the pop star plans to continue research for answers regarding the phenomenon via a forthcoming series on the streaming service Peacock.
Oh.
Which is NBC's streaming service, because that's the cool thing now. Let's all have streaming service and put all the shows you want to see on there and keep the same garbage you don't want to see on the regular channels, which is what they're all doing now. I'm a holdout, man. If you're like, would you like to see Demi Lovato's 4-part docuseries and it cost you $9 a month? No, I would not.
But didn't the same thing happen with like that Star Trek series we wanted to watch?
Yeah, Picard.
Yeah. And
I watched it in the hospital.
Lucky.
Not really. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm like, and here's the thing. I can't even cancel it. I've been trying to cancel CBS All Access since I got out of the hospital. I can't. I have to log in from the original device, which I have. It's my laptop. Mm-hmm. But it won't let me do it because it says that there's something wrong. It thinks that my network is not right.
Yeah.
Because I did it at the hospital. So am I going to have to frickin' lug my laptop to the hospital to match the network to be able to? It's ridiculous.
So I had to call customer service and get told, because I no longer had the device that had the subscription because we replaced my phone. And they gave me the attitude like, well, then there's nothing you can do.
And it's like, I don't think you understand how the world works. You're going to tell me that I can't cancel
so then
something and keep paying for it?
I got to a supervisor who tried to guide me how to do it on the laptop. And I said, the screens you're showing me are not what I have on my screen. And then they said, well, then you're just going to have to keep cycling our billing payments until you use a device connected to... Yeah. So what I did was I just went to the banking institution's website and said no more charges from these people.
Yes.
So, yeah.
That would be nice.
So, which is $15. Well, was for me.
Yeah. Well, here's the deal. CBS All Access is the worst streaming service out there. It's my opinion. This is what I think. I think it's, what else? I also think that HughesNet satellite service is the worst out there.
Yeah.
These are my opinions, and I stand firm to them, and, I know I'm not alone.
But I just wish they'd quit breaking up into the different networks. I miss back in the day when Hulu had, like, all the cool shows I wanted, and I just paid for Hulu.
Well, they all want that money.
And now they all want that money, so it's costing just as much as if you had cable. We cut the cord over a decade ago. Oh, actually, yeah. So almost a decade ago. And now it's going back to everybody trying to get a piece of the pie.
Well, yeah, because, they say, cable's going to go away and all this. It probably will, but it's going to be replaced with the streaming services, which it is now. So by the time you add, like, Netflix, CBS, HBO, by the time you add them all together, you're paying as much as the cable bill. So your cut the cord bill went from being, like, just the cost of internet to be able to stream some things for free to you're paying $159 now again.
And they're doing it, like, all wrong, in my opinion. I mean, there's like certain things like Shudder and like very genre specific streaming platforms, but they don't have enough of the good shows.
Yeah. Well, when they do, they're going to make you pay.
I know. Like
that's kind of how it goes. That's why I like liked Roku for a long time because Roku was great. But, we're in a place now where we don't have the bandwidth for it.
So,
and as I get older, I'm enjoying free things like the weather channels, right? That are free, regular local news and your regular stuff.
This went way off track from
UFOs. Well, I was about to tell people how our van is being set up to be able to do things like watch television and things like that when we're out in the middle of nowhere. And it really has nothing to do with, whatever, but I was going to crack a joke about putting a telescope on top of the van.
Which wouldn't be a bad idea.
And have like a little deck to sit down up there and everything and be able to night view. Yeah. But I also remember I fell off the top of the van and broke my freaking neck, so I'm probably never going up there if I can help it.
However,
because it hurts.
I would like it to be a goal this year for 2021 that we visit a couple of dark sky parks so we can get some good.
As long as I can get some kind of reclining chair.
Okay.
Because, looking up doesn't work. Like, oh my God, look at that. No. I can't, when people point up into the sky.
So you're saying you will
see that? No. You could I could walk through the house and you could say a light bulb's out and I wouldn't be able to tell you if it was or not because I can't see it because it's above my head. My job as a ceiling inspector is gone.
Your job as a UFO witnesser has been
it's like
severely limited.
Yeah, it's like
unless they come over the horizon.
Pretty much, man. I almost have to lay on the ground and look at them. Just drop to the ground and flop like a fish and then look up and see if I can see anything. Maybe I can wear some kind of like periscope helmet when the screen drops down and I can see.
Okay, future man.
It's not future man. It's, basically overcoming,
challenges.
A challenge, yeah.
Yes.
So, future man. Okay. Future man, how dare you. All right, and for all you panic pansies out there, stop buying gas.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's so worried. The gas has been hacked. Really? Just stop. You're making it worse. You know what I mean? It's like a dog chasing its tail. When he finally catches it and bites it, it hurts, and he keeps doing it. Mm-hmm. Stop.
That's why aliens don't visit us, because people are putting gas in
Every
trash
time I think
bags.
of this stuff, I think of like the Twilight Zone episode where they start messing around with this neighborhood, turning lights on and off and stuff like that, and eventually people start attacking themselves.
Oh, really? I haven't seen that one.
Well, there's like 1,000. They're all. They're standing on a hill and they're like, we can't do anything. They're not advanced because they are literally the people in the town are like trying to take each other out because one person's got some weird stuff. Like all the power was off, and then all of a sudden they turned one light on somebody else. And they're like, hey, how come you have power? And it just turned into a thing, and they turn it back off, turn somebody else on. Wait, now you have, and it just became this thing.
Okay.
That's what they're doing. So, the gas has been hacked. Oh my God, let's get some trash bags and go fill up with gas.
I saw one with a laundry basket.
It's like, come on, man. Yeah, it's ridiculous. So don't be a panic pansy.
Yeah.
I don't have any gas in the van. That's why I say I'm hoping that, that's not a thing. Might be a...
Can't go on a UFO adventure without gas.
Don't need to. So. Just sit out in the yard and look up, right? That's what they're saying.
Yeah, that's true.
No light pollution and junk. Okay, so anyway, moving back into it, like I said, Demi Lovato is doing a thing, and it actually got me thinking, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's Demi Lovato and her sister Dallas. I was like, okay, well... And then the skeptic guy, Michael Scott Montgomery, they're going to be doing a 4-part series investigating, and I'm not that interested in it because I don't know these people. Right?
Yeah. Apparently, I guess they're like former Disney actors or something.
Well, I'm 50.
Yeah.
This is, yeah. But it got me thinking about some of the other more famous people out there that are interested in like ghosts and UFOs and stuff like that. It's like celebrities, right? Mm-hmm. Because we already know Tom DeLonge is interested because he's in the whole, through the stars Academy thing and all that from Blink-182. So I started kind of taking a look to see, just off the top of my head, and then try to see if I could find some more, people that may or may not be interested, right? Mm-hmm. And may or may not be ghost hunters or UFO people or whatever, just interested in the kind of stuff that we talk about.
Yeah.
So I made a list just off the top of my head. And the first one is Dan Aykroyd. He's all about UFOs and stuff. Do you know who Dan Aykroyd is?
Yes.
Yeah, he's from Ghostbusters, right? Yeah. He's also from Saturday Night Live, but he is a big UFO guy.
Yeah.
And he's been on Coast to Coast and lots of shows. Has it had his own show? I don't know if it's still on or not, but, So I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. And these are people who are probably maybe more familiar to the older crowd, like, like we are, right? I guess. Remember Rob Lowe and his sons had a show where they would look for UFOs and they did some ghost hunting stuff, and which was actually an okay show. I thought it was all right. Yeah. Remember Robbie What's-His-Face from Skinwalker Ranch?
Oh, Robbie Williams. He's the British guy.
He's a British singer guy. He had like one or two songs, I guess.
Yeah.
Or maybe more. More recently was Post Malone. Remember we seen a show where he went to Zach Baggins' haunted museum and they did something with the Dybbuk box, and because Post Malone was interested in that. Evidently, he's not interested anymore.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I'm not doing that stuff anymore. Because the theory was that something attached itself to him, and he ran through a string of bad luck.
Oh, poor thing.
After this, so he's like, I'm done.
Don't blame him.
Yeah, Post Malone. So there's some interesting stars out there that like this sort of thing, and there's some uninteresting stars out there, I guess, if you're not interested in it.
I mean, I also provided a list of celebrities that believe in aliens.
Yeah.
This is an older list, and I was trying to find this one article that talked about Miley Cyrus, and then, like, a day later, the article got updated because Billy Ray also believes in aliens.
Of course he does.
I can't find that. However, this article goes into detail about Miley Cyrus's UFO experience, where she basically said it could have been the weed wax, but in 2020, when she was like kind of stuck in San Bernardino, she swears she was chased down by some sort of UFO. It was like a flying snow plow. It had this big plow in the front of it, and it was glowing yellow. I did see it flying. There were a couple of other cars on the road, though, and they stopped to look at it, too, so I think what I saw was real. I did see a being sitting in front of the flying object. We made eye contact, and I think that's what really shook me up, looking into the eyes of something that I couldn't quite wrap my head around.
Hey.
Yeah. Now, there are several other celebrities not mentioned in Greg's earlier list on here. Singers like Kesha and Katy Perry. Snooki from Jersey Shore believes it. There's a very interesting story.
Yeah, this is not helping out the cause, man.
I know. Tom Cruise, we all know that could be a whole podcast episode unto itself. Alicia Keys said in a BuzzFeed article she believed in aliens. Jaden Smith, Will Smith's kid, says he talked to President Barack Obama about aliens.
That's nice. Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
Neo believes in that kind of thing. So, yeah, I mean...
Dwayne The Rock Johnson says, of course he believes in aliens.
Yes. Of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't know if this really helps the cause or not. But I thought it was kind of interesting that some of these people, these celebrities are out there. They believe in the alien stuff. But what I found to be even more interesting is that there's a list.
Yeah.
And this list that came out was sort of generated by a question, and the question was, I think, put to from the Travel Channel, right? Where they talked to ghost hunters to see who they would like to have come investigate with them.
Oh.
Yeah. And do you want to know who it is?
Who?
Like who's on that list?
Who?
Well, I'm trying to find my link. I think I closed it. So, but yeah, okay, so the Travel Channel basically asked some people, some ghost hunting type people, who they'd want to investigate with. Right? And they say, who would you like to take on a ghost hunt? And I think you got Zach Baggins in there and a couple other things, but we're going to bring up who we got here. And some of these are pretty interesting because when I looked at it earlier, I can't remember exactly who was on there, but okay. So this was a while ago. This was like last year around Halloween time where Travel Channel asked, some ghost hunter people to say, hey, who would you, what celebrity would you like to take on a ghost hunt? Mm-hmm. And Dan Aykroyd was there.
Yeah.
Says, and it's funny because he made the list on, or I shouldn't say this, he made the choice of a lot of celebrities that were asked, like ghost hunting people, who would you like to take? They're all like Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah.
Because he's kind of legit. Out of everybody we talked about so far with the whole ghost hunting / UFO thing, which really we haven't gone too deep into it, Dan Aykroyd is there. And he should be because he's like a legit, I'm into it, I'm not messing around, kind of guy when it comes to this stuff.
Like, I would like to see him on, like, an episode of Skinwalker
Why?
Ranch.
He had his own show. It was called Sci Factor.
True.
Right?
So,
and that was like, he did this show for like 4 years.
Yeah.
But he did some other shows too. But I mean, he's like legit kind of guy, right? And so like Dave Schrader of the Hauser Files, he mentioned that he would like to have Dan Aykroyd. And according to the press release, it says Dave Schrader from the Holzer Files, right? And he did Haunted Salem. Chose the actor to be his partner in an investigation because Dan comes from a long line of paranormal researchers and investigators. So Dan's got cred, man. Right?
Yeah.
Amy Bruni, though, from Cryptid Spirits, as well as Jason Hawes of Ghost Nation, they said the same thing.
Yeah, they were like, Dan.
They're like, oh, that's a way better idea than who I was going to pick. That's really what that is. You know what I mean? Like, oh,
yeah. But then you have like Jason Hawes' partner, Steve Gonzalez. Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Chose Aykroyd. However, he also mentioned a certain thespian who's quite known for dispatching demons with a chainsaw. So Ash Williams himself, Bruce Campbell, topped Steve's list. So I don't know. I wouldn't mind. I think I think he'd have a lighthearted approach.
I don't know, man. He might be kind of serious.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I can kind of see that, right? And it's funny, in this little article, it says that Campbell himself actually auditions, right? He held auditions for a reality show where the contestants would spend the night in a haunted house with him.
See, I would have watched that.
Yeah, I would have done it. Like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
But the idea never came to pass.
Oh.
So I guess they didn't think it was be interesting enough. I don't know. So this one I thought was pretty interesting, and I didn't really think about it, but it kind of makes sense. Zach Baggins of Ghost Adventures said he would take one of his diehard fans along, right, instead of a celebrity.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, he would just pick a fan, it's kind of a diplomatic way to not cause any problems. I think that Zach Baggins catches enough just shit as it is.
Yeah.
Where he just tries to ride down the middle. He doesn't want none. There won't be none, that kind of a thing. So what's the perfect PC answer? I'd take one of our fans.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I would take Joe Rogan.
Oh.
I think Joe Rogan would be fun.
Well, then you agree with Jack Osborne. So,
well,
yeah.
Maybe.
Because Jack Osborne said he would take Joe Rogan too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and the reason why I would take Joe Rogan, I never even thought about Joe Rogan until I read the article, but, you know, I've watched Joe Rogan on TV when he was on, wow, it went right out of my head, the radio show he did where he was there with Phil Hartman and, you know, all that kind of stuff. But I think he's a smart enough guy. He's interesting. I think it'd be fun to take him. And plus, he's even though he's a little older, I still think he can taekwondo some ass if it come down to it.
Yeah.
So I think Joe Rogan would be fun. And I don't really know too much about Joe Rogan other than, you know, I've heard some of his podcasts, little clips and stuff, because I don't really commit to the full, you know, hour and a half podcast or whatever. But I think he'd be open-minded enough and interesting enough and also skeptical enough to where if you went in there and you were doing an investigation with him and you're like, oh my God, what do you think that is? I don't think he'd be quick to go, that's a ghost.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are. You know, and I don't think that he would rely on like you to be the expert of the ghost hunt. I think he's smart enough to where he have his own ideas about what's going on.
Okay.
So
I do think the next two answers are cute. Jack's co-star Katrina Weidman from, I guess, their Portals to Hell show.
Yeah.
She would pick Golden Girl Betty White.
That'd be fun.
That would be fun. And then this is adorable. Ghost brother Dalen Spratt. Apparently he has a crush on Rihanna, so he'd bring Rihanna because it's the only way he'd get a date with her. But I think she'd be really into it. So, of course, I like Rihanna. So yeah. And those are because I mean, yes, the approach of like picking certain people, you'd want somebody legit, but sometimes you just want to have some fun. So why not pick somebody fun? That's another option. So that's how I feel.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, it could go either way.
You
could have a good time with it, or if you're trying to be serious, it kind of depends, right?
Yeah.
Now, if they were like, "Hey, what paranormal investigator would you take?"
Then yeah, Dan Aykroyd.
You know, no, but that's what I'm saying. If you had it, like if you're a regular person, you could pick, you know, a paranormal investigator. Like, who would you take to go investigate ghosts and stuff.
Huh.
Who would you take?
I don't know.
See, it's a tough call, right?
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like, I mean, who I don't know, because it really sort of boils down to what are you trying to accomplish? And I think if you just asked anybody who is not really trying to maybe do any real investigations or whatever, they're just going to pick whoever they think's more popular and kind of go with it. But if you're trying to find like credibility, like if I was going out in the woods and going to look for Bigfoot stuff, as in, you know, signs or whatever, I would probably take like, you know, Meldrum.
Yeah.
You know, to look for prints and things like that. And if I was going to do, you know, and this is the problem I have. It sort of depends on what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Like if we were like trying to go out in the woods and look for Kexpert stuff, right? You're obviously taking Stan Gordon.
Yeah.
Right.
Like for me, I was like thinking about
if you're traveling overseas to go to like Pumapuntu, I'm taking, you know, Georgie. You know,
oh, I would take.
Why? I'm taking Giorgio Tsakoulis.
I was thinking someplace else. I thought you were going to say someplace else, and that was my first thought. Was Josh Gates. So, for me, because I was thinking about the paranormal, it's who you're more familiar with. Yes, I'd pick Danny Aykroyd, but then there was that whole show.
I would pick Dan Aykroyd for UFO stuff.
Yeah, for paranormal. There's that show that didn't last too long. It was like called Ghost Lab. I liked their approach.
The cops in the van kind of a thing?
They were kind of just, they were more tech based. So I kind of liked their approach.
See, that's what we should do. We should come up with like, if we were to put together a paranormal super group, right, to do things, like who would we put on there? Maybe we'll do that in one of our podcast episodes. Like, like for investigating and coming up with all the research and stuff, the information about what's going on in the place. I would pick Steve DeShavi. You know, he retired New York City detective.
Yeah.
You don't even, what are you looking at me all crazy for? Remember, you got Steve and you got Amy and they go around and they do that?
Oh, yeah.
Steve.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't mess around. He doesn't necessarily believe in this stuff, but he goes and he does the investigations, man. He actually goes and talks to the people. He goes to cops and talks to cops. And, you know, so if you're like trying to research like what happened at a place that you're going to go investigate and find all stuff, he seems to be doing pretty good at it.
Yeah. I was trying to find the name. The Kling brothers. They were on Ghost Lab.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
So, like, I would find him for investigation stuff. And, you know, as far as, like, other investigators, like, I do, like, you know, Amy Brunei. I think she's good. You know, I mean, it just kind of depends, you know. Because I do think that, and this is probably going to come across as being chauvinistic or whatever, but I do think that when you have, like, an all-male investigatory team, they don't get results.
Okay.
I mean, you got to provoke them and stuff. You got to be like Ghost Adventures and talk trash to make something happen. But when you bring a couple female investigators, legit female investigators, that seems that there's more interaction.
Yeah. And you can see that because, like, even, okay, so I do like that newer show, Ghost Bros, but they usually bring, you know, another person that is female on some of their investigations.
Well, I mean, it depends on the investigation, but it's three dudes, and they do the investigation also, but you know they have certain psychics and stuff like that they bring in. But
I'm a big fan of like Portals to Hell, so I like Jack and Katrina. I think that's a good team right there.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So
you could take like Amy Brunei, and you could take Katrina. What's her name? Weidman. Yeah. I don't know. But I just think that you could probably spend some time and build it up. And as the more I'm talking about, the more not interested I'm becoming, because I'm just seeing it as being a lot of work, right? Yeah. You know, it's like, okay, you got to pick your people, and you're like, okay, well, where are we going? Because see, when you have an open-ended sort of idea or question like that, like who would you pick for your paranormal super team? I wouldn't just rattle off just a whole bunch of names. I would need to know, okay, what are we going to go investigate? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if we're going to go investigate something where there's like an underwater aspect, well, yeah, you bring Josh Gates because he's obviously a certified scuba diver.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
But if you're like going to go investigate somewhere off for these ancient structures and stuff like that, looking for alien technology, I'm not bringing Josh Gates. We're going to bring Giorgio.
Okay.
Giorgio Tsakoulis, right? Because that's what he does. That's his thing. You know what I'm saying? So that's like if we were to go investigate reptilians, who are you going to bring? David Icke. That's his thing. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't be able to just put together this group of people just to kind of cover all the bases without really knowing kind of what you're looking for.
So basically, you'd be like Nick Fury trying to assemble the perfect different...
Paranormal Avengers, yeah.
Yeah, so...
Because you got to, because you can't... I mean, you're really hard-pressed to find somebody that's just sort of a general-purpose investigator because they don't go deep enough necessarily for your specific subject matter. Not to say they wouldn't be effective, because, you know, usually... Because people will say, like, jack of all trades, but master of none.
Yeah.
But oftentimes, you know, better than none or something like that. That's because there's more to that quote, but yeah. So I don't know. I mean, but if I had to pick one that I just want to hang out with, that's a tough question too. Because I think after a while they'd get on my nerves. You know, I mean, there's people I like talking to. Talking to Meldrum's great. Like talking to him. Talking to Gordon's nice. Stan Gordon's a nice guy. I like talking to him. He's fun.
Yeah.
He's real friendly and stuff.
I talked Mr. Lyle Blackburn and Amy Buse ears off.
Yeah, I like Lyle. Lyle's great. Yeah. Tromp around the swamp with Lyle for a while because, you know, just genuinely good people.
Yeah, but you could see they're just like, she can keep talking.
Yeah, they're like she's just not going to stop. Just leave me alone, you know. You know, I mean, so I don't know. We kind of ramble on a little bit, but it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, I don't know. But I did think it was kind of interesting, though. But I kind of wish Zach Baggins hadn't copped out and actually just picked somebody. You know, I'll take one of our fans. That's cool.
Pick a side.
Yeah. It's like, I'd probably take Joe Rogan, though, for some things. I just think he'd be fun to hang around with. Well, you don't think so?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
It kind of depends. I don't know. That's pretty much done with that.
Okay.
Yeah. I do like the Ghost Brothers, though.
Yeah.
I think they have a good show. Yeah. All right. Anyway, I was trying to think of somebody else to kind of bring along, and you know, it's just, it sort of depends, really, with the whole thing, like what you're trying to do. You know, it depends if you're just going for fun or if you're going for results. If you're going for results, you need to be slightly specific in what you're looking for because you kind of want people to be sort of almost subject matter experts in whatever it is that you're going to look for. If you're just going for fun, it really doesn't matter who you pick.
But my definition of fun, because I'm so goal-oriented, I mean, like, you know, when we got footage of the Brown Mountain Lights.
Yeah, I know.
I'm sitting here like, I would kind of want to bring certain actual friends of ours in the community. You know?
Yeah.
So I don't think I'd go straight to a celebrity.
I know who I'd want to film the entire thing.
Yeah.
Small Town Monsters.
Yeah.
Like, hey guys. But I would like them to add another camera guy.
Yes.
Yeah. So there you go. And so it'd be kind of one of the things. So I don't know. It's just sort of a thing. It kind of depends with the whole thing. It's just a weird thought. Anyway, kind of ramble on there. If you guys have any ideas who you would want to bring on a paranormal investigation with you, if you could pick anybody, like a celebrity, that's kind of related to it, because you know, I don't want to hear like, oh, I'd pick Einstein. What? You know, kind of pick somebody sort of relevant to what we're talking about.
It's like,
and kind of let us know. That'd be kind of cool.
Like the memes where people go back in time just to feed a caveman like Tang or something. I would bring an 18th century businessman just so I could see the look on his face.
Yeah, I think I seen one. There was a story one time about if you could bring, you know, to be able to bring like a colonial person and put them in a car.
Yeah. And
have them compare the car to, you know, whatever, but I don't know.
Or just show like a 1930s secretary a smartphone, you know.
So there you go. Who would be your paranormal Avengers? If you're putting together a team, or if you just want to bring somebody fun to walk around and investigate with you, who would it be? So that's the question of the day. But I think that's it.
Yeah. Because I'm sitting here like, mostly I have my Bigfoot team already built, so, but not my paranormal team. So.
Well, the paranormal team's kind of hard because it kind of depends.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So anyway, moving back into the podcast, at this point, I think we're just about done.
Okay.
Yeah. So we do talk about things that are out there and things we find to be interesting and that sort of thing. If you guys have anything that you think is interesting or something you want to have us kind of talk about, then do that.
Give us a call. The phone number again, it's going to be 575-208-4025. Also, the email address, didn't give that out. It's going to be contact@creepgeeks.com. Find us on social media. So we're all over Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, wherever we are, probably on whatever platform.
We are on all major platforms.
Look for Creep Geeks Pod or check the show notes. We have links to everything, including our Patreon. We do want to thank our Patreon supporters, Dave, Isis, James, Bobby, John, and Adam. If you'd like to support us on Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/ why is the link missing?
Because it's / CreepGeeks.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry about that, y'all.
Anyways, I have to have it spelled out for me to do these closings proper.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Everything we talk about in the show notes is available on our website. If you go to creepgeeks.com, and you can basically look at everything we write out, and you can click and follow the link at your leisure.
Yeah.
I'm going to do more research. Because also in there, we have a couple of recommendations for things like, books to read, like Beyond the Fray.
Yeah.
Right? Paramalgamation, right? There's a link to that if you want to look at that. Hunt for Skinwalkers there. Dover Demons there. Monsters Among Us is there. And we also have links to Small Town Monsters and stuff. So we have all sorts of links for you to be involved in if you'd like to do that sort of thing. Yep. It's all good. But yeah. Okay, so anyway, we're going to go ahead and wrap up the podcast. We do appreciate you listening.
And one last thing.
What?
We do have a link to my Crafted Intent Etsy shop. Do want to let you guys know that the Paranormal Investigator stickers are getting restocked.
Yes.
So, yep.
Yeah, we have a Paranormal Investigator sticker that evidently everybody likes all of a sudden. So if you want to buy one, you should check it out because it's inexpensive. So it's just something we do. But yeah, that's about it. So anyway, see you later. Take it easy. Bye-bye.
Bye.